Dear student, welcome to the part 2 of Verneuil method. In the part 2 of the Verneuil method, we will discuss about the history of Verneuil method, why this method is known as Flampian method for preparation of synthetic gemstones. So, as you know that, dear student, the history of Verneuil method was based on the initial history of the search of the gemstone fabrication techniques or gemstone synthesis or designing techniques. Dear student, all of you know that the history of chemistry basically began with the search of preparation of synthetic precious stones. A lot of time was initially was wasted by the chemist in fabrication or in designing gold because the cost of the gold was too much and it was very precious. So initially, dear student, chemists basically utilized a lot of their time in preparation of synthetic gemstones. However, the major development was done in 19th century where the first ruby was basically synthetically prepared by chemists. The first ruby prepared by the chemist was basically formed by melting of two smaller rubies, and then they were transformed and crystallized into a single crystal ruby. So this was basically a first attempt and major advancement in for the fabrication of crystalline ruby and synthetic ruby. So this was basically a first step toward the preparation of single crystal synthetic materials. The major development in formation of synthetic material was done by chemist known as Edmond Fermi. Okay, so Edmond Fermi was in 1887. He basically first time produced gemstone or synthetic gemstone using molten material. Okay, so he basically initially the Edmund Fermi basically used the molten alumina, and with this molten he converted this molten alumina by using both melting setup, and both of the melted alumina was basically converted into a gemstone. So this was basically a first footstep toward the synthesis or fabrication of single crystalline gemstones. Okay, dear student, the interesting fact to notice here is that Verneuil was interested in Edmund Freme work, and he also collaborated with Edmund Freme, but afterward he left Edmund Freme group and he separately uh, produced, or he separately designed his own instrument, which is known as basically a Verneuil furnace. Okay, so after that Verneuil introduced his own method. So the student Verneuil was impressed with the Edmond Fermi work, but he left the Edmond Fermi and performed his own work to prepare synthetic single crystalline gemstones. Dear student, interesting fact to notice here is that the Verneuil was basically was inspired by the Genovian merchants who were in 1880s. They were basically selling different types of gemstones of ruby, and he though they were very precious and very good in quality, but Fernol basically used those rubies, and he observed that these rubies may be recrystallized, so they can be converted into a single crystal. And on the basis of a thorough investigation, Verneuil observed that if we can convert And if we have a pure material, then we can in the form of powder, and we can convert it into a single crystalline material on, and they can be and the material can be recrystallized as a single crystal. So due to the inspiration of from the Genovian merchants, basically the Verneuil used their ruby gemstones as a source material and converted them into a single crystal. So he converted those gemstones, which are he converted in the form of powder, and then he converted those powder into a single crystal gemstones. So the source of aspiration for Verneuil are basically what the Genovian merchant who were selling the rubies in 1880s, and when the Verneuil designed or Verneuil fabricated his own rubies, they were good in qualities as compared to the Genovian merchant rubies, and then they were dismissed at that time. So Verneuil was the first scientist to basically who introduced the synthetic rubies for first time, and he basically laid the first step to grow a single crystal materials and gemstones. Another fact to notice here is that at the same time in 1880s there was a technique which is known as oxyhydrated flame technique was introduced. So the oxyhydrated flame basically operate around 2000 degrees centigrade, though the temperature was too much. Since you know that the melting point of gemstone is also too much, so they basically melt around 2000 degrees centigrade and even more. So that technique was basically also useful for Verneuil to utilize it into converting into a gemstone, which is in the form of powder, into a melt, and which is then recrystallized. So Auguste Verneuil used the flame fusion method to melt the gemstone which was in the powder form and convert it into a crystal. So dear student, the furnace used by Verneuil is illustrated by this schematic diagram. Okay, so this was the initial first furnace which was used by Verneuil in 1885. Okay, so basically this furnace, the precursor material or the source material which we want to convert into a single crystal or synthetic single crystal was in the powder form was basically introduced in the chamber of this instrument. Okay, somewhere here. So this precursor material is basically the gemstones and material is basically very a fine powder with high purity. So this fine powder is basically introduced into incorporated from they are basically shaked, and they are transported into a narrow line which is basically connected with a very oxyhydrated flame. Okay, so oxyhydrated flame basically interacts somewhere here onto the material which is basically in the form of a powder, and when the oxyhydrated, which operate at high temperature around 2000 degrees centigrade, basically melt the precursor material or melts the material which we want to fabricate as a synthetic gem. Okay, then the synthetic gem then the material precursor material in the form of melt is transported onto the surface of the substrate which is located on the stand of this instrument. Okay, so when the melted material is transported onto the surface of the substrate, the melt basically start to condense. Okay, and the surface of the substrate is basically pulled down, so the melt basically continuously condense and convert it into a single crystalline gemstone. Okay, so this is basically an initial setup which was used by Verneuil in 1885. Dear student, please note that this Verneuil method has a limitation. Okay, the limitation for Verneuil method is that this method operates at very high temperature. The flame fusion is done around 2000 degrees centigrade and even more than 2000 degrees centigrade. So the oxyhydrated flame which is used in this Verneuil flame fusion method has a temperature more than 2000 degrees centigrade. So this method is not valid below 2000 degrees centigrade, and because the flame operates at very high temperature. So there were another method introduced after this Verneuil flame fusion method, which are known as Zborowski method or horizontal or vertical bridgman methods, to produce a single crystalline material with high purity and quality but at low temperature. Although this Verneuil flame fusion method is very important in terms of quality, but this method is not applicable at lower temperature. So at lower temperature, single crystals of silicons or germanium, etc., are basically produced by using vertical or horizontal bridgman or Zborowski methods. However, for gemstones whose melting point is higher than 2000 degrees centigrade, the Verneuil flame fusion method is most commonly used. So dear student, thank you for watching part 2 of the lecture series. So in next part of our lecture series about the Verneuil flame fusion method, we will discuss about the processing steps involved in Verneuil flame fusion for fabrication of single crystal gemstones. So thank you for watching this lecture part of lecture series.